Yo. All right. Welcome everybody to the second edition of Books We Share That Make Us Care. My name is Mitchell. I'll be the host of the Q&A, the first part of this evening. I'm glad to see all of you here. Please, give yourself a warm round of applause, to start in a good way. We have a few special guests today. Special guests from across the ocean and special guests from our own city. As you may have seen and read on the website, we've got a great program for you in place today. We'll start with a convo, a Q&A with yourselves, of course, and with one of our special guests all the way from the United States, one of my favorite MCs, M1 from Dead Prez, half of Dead Prez, so that's good. Whoop, whoop. And besides him, I'll be joined on the stage by one of my dear friends, a very smart and inspiring comrades, Mitchell Esajas. And I think one of the legendary producers, hip-hop artists, recently turned rapper as well. Leeroy from Zwart Licht. Give it up for Leeroy. So, I'll give a very, very short introduction and they'll just start. Anybody who's been at the Black Archives before? Yeah, about 50%, 60, okay. So, for those who haven't, I'll give a very short introduction. And the event that we're organizing today is part of a series which we recently started in collaboration with Pata. And the idea behind this series is to get to know the artist and learn about the art of hip-hop. Hip-hop is a beautiful culture. I think most of us here are lovers of hip-hop. There may be even producers of hip-hop, MCs, people engaged in the other elements. It's a worldwide culture, very influential. But often, at least that's our observation, it seems like a part of the history and a very important element of the culture, the element of knowledge, seems to be forgotten. And when we look at the history of hip-hop, something that we will discuss today, we think it's potentially one of the most powerful tools to have a positive impact on society and on the world. So what we try to do through this collaboration is use hip-hop to talk and share vital knowledge, especially from black perspectives. Because when we look at the Black Archives, for those who haven't been there, what we do is that we try to collect, preserve, and share knowledge, information that's often erased, silenced from our history books. One of my favorite tracks from Dead Prez is Day Schools. Day Schools can teach us shit, indeed. At least that was my experience. I didn't learn shit at school about black history, or very little. So we started our own thing, and that evolved into the Black Archives, archive where we have more than 5,000 books, documents, and artifacts around black history in the Dutch context, but also internationally. And it's nice to have these books, but not everybody has the time and privilege to read all of them. And I haven't read all of them yet as well, disclaimer. So, you can use different ways and tools to share information. We develop exhibitions, we organize events like this, but music is also one of the ways to share information and knowledge. So I think that Press is one of the greatest examples of how, political and social messages can be spread throughout music. And it's something that they've been doing intentionally. And I'm glad to see that, there are a lot of people here all the way in Amsterdam that have been touched by their music as well. So, with that being said, please give a warm round of applause to M1, half of Dead Prez, and one of my favorite MCs coming on the stage right now. Yeah. Welcome again.
Welcome, Uhuru.
We had a very, inspiring evening yesterday already. The first part of this series was in Hip Hop House Rotterdam. And today we'll have part two of the conversation. If you missed part one, don't worry. We'll, do as if it didn't happen. And today we've also got a great show on the agenda. So I'm going to start off where I started off yesterday as well. For the people who may not know you as a person, can you tell us, where you came from and how you evolved into the artist that you are today, known as M1?
Okay. Well, first I'd like to start out with uhuru, which is a Swahili greeting. We popularly use. It means freedom. And the reason why I like to lead kind of with that preset is because I think that guides the conversation that happens afterwards. If we put freedom ahead of us, then everything else begins to make a whole lot of sense. First of all, I'm an African, a human being, and my name is Mutulu Olubala, aka M1, one half of the Tell It Like It Is. Everything is political rap duo called Dead Prez. Dead Prez, more like a verb, like dead the Prez. And that's exactly the sentiment that me and my partner, and when I say we, me and my partner stick. Those of us who know the group know that it's a two-man, it's a duo. And that when we began, we wanted to espouse. This was our sentiment exactly, to dethrone the queen, king, and to put the people back in the driver's seat as being the determiners of our own destiny. So I am a political animal, social scientist. I am a conscious content creator. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a student, a teacher, a brother, and I'm here to talk to you.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Can you share with us a little bit about your political education and also how you came into the field of hip hop? Was it something that you aspired to since you were young, to become an MC, or is it something that?
Sure. Sure. I was having this conversation in the back, and the thing about hip hop, it has been a part of my life since the beginning. I was born in the early '70s, and let me tell you, by the time hip hop hit the scene, I grew with hip hop. So the culture of hip hop became my walk, my talk, my lifestyle. I started as a DJ actually. And then b-boy and graffiti artist, which is the thing that I took the most serious. And as I was explaining to the young producer who I just met in the back, I didn't even start to write raps until I was around 18 years old. I actually went to college and was inspired by my partner Stickman, and this is the reason why I began to say things on the microphone, but not just because of Stick, but what happened was that I became politicized. My life had more meaning because I began to look at the world from a political point of view. I was studying people like Huey P. Newton, Bobby Hutton, George Jackson, Maurice Bishop, studying Kwame Ture and Kwame Nkrumah. I was studying Assata Shakur. And these things helped to influence kind of my life at that point. The reading and the watching those documentaries and following in the footsteps of those people. And I reached Tallahassee, Florida to go to college, and I was running around the campus, but more than that, I was like running around the community because I'm always a community guy. And so I quickly went from the college campus to the community, and there was a sister, I was telling this yesterday, there's a sister who was an elder who was running around the community, and she was our teacher. Her name is Sister Olabisi, and she was all of 60-something, close to 70, but she looked like she was 20-something years old. And we learned a lot from her. And it was Sister Olabisi who brought myself and Stick in and played us albums like This Is Madness from The Last Poets and listening to Malcolm X, the Ballad or the Bullet, really listening to those vinyls. And we decided, reading the Black Panther newspapers, going to our local bookstores, that we needed to make organization. And we started our own organization called the Black Survival Movement. Right there at 16, 17 years old, we were like, okay, if the Black Panthers aren't here today, we're gonna make the Black Panthers. And so the Black Survival Movement was born, based off the song, Bob Marley's song, The Black Survivors. And we started there and decided that, bring that Black Panther newspaper up here. And, you know, and Emory Douglas, anybody knows the artwork that is on the cover of many Black Panther newspapers was done by the Minister of Culture, Emory Douglas. He became like really a hero to me. His art style and what it meant. We had these things on our walls. This was me at 17 years old, listening to This Is Madness, looking at this. And so this precedes Dead Prez. What you know as the music all started from political action, from creating a small community organization with my brother, making a whole lot of mistakes, being very romantic about what the movement means, and how freedom would happen. We thought we was just gonna get us together and learn martial arts and get some guns and take out the police, and that was gonna be that. You know what I mean? And but we learned a lot differently in the process, mainly because we joined political organizations, organization mainly, and I basically was introduced to the Uhuru movement that's led by Chairman Omali Shatella, and a bunch of women who basically were the leadership there in that organization, and they provided a political education that is the basis of the reason why I'm here today. African internationalism, the African People's Socialist Party, helped to inform me about which way was up and down as far as turning history right side up, so I could see it through the lens of the oppressed and of people who needed freedom and who understand freedom. And from there, I started to understand how important culture is. So to put myself in context, I didn't put this in my title, but I'm a revolutionary culture worker. And that has to be in that context. It's not rap for rap's sake. I am a revolutionary cultural worker, which is tied to the movement. That's how it makes sense. My lens is as the movement is projecting. So through this lens, doing culture for the movement allowed me to engage the people and elevate the level of political dialogue that I could have through the music, through the styling of the music. And so again, like I said, for years and years, we were just knocking on doors, making leaflets, having rallies, figuring out how to throw the police off our back and be self-determining. But to be honest, there was not a lot of people, me being 17 years old, there wasn't a lot of people looking my way. They were listening to Snoop Dogg, and they was listening to a whole lot of other stuff, and we were kind of, like I said, outside of the same way it's happening today, I guess. No diss to Snoop, actually. It's not a diss to him, actually, but that wasn't revolutionary consciousness. It just wasn't. It was a detractor from the true goals and aims that black and brown people needed to hear and see, to me, in America. And so from there, we began to incorporate rhymes and rhyming into our local rallies. I would go to talk to people, and we would proceed what we would do by saying a rap, and that would attract the young people. And that was the way we attracted more younger people into the movement, because if you don't know, the police and the FBI and the organizations that inside America created a counterinsurgency that would cut basically the head from the revolutionary movement, from the Black liberation movement. And so for many years, there wasn't a high level of political action inside the black community. You couldn't see it. It wasn't popular.
This is the COINTELPRO program for this?
Yes, COINTELPRO, under J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI and the rest. These are the people who murdered Fred Hampton, senior of the Black Panther Party, and chopped down so many leaders of many organizations. And so that was the reason why we had to search so hard to find what revolution was, because there wasn't a connected relationship from our history. And so when we got it, we new formed it, interjected hip hop into it, and what we were listening to, brandedly. That's the way. And I want to say, like, it was a long time before when we met, me and my partner Stick, who formed this revolutionary organization, the Black Survival Movement. There was a long time between that point and when the word Dead Prez happened. So primarily, I just want to point out, we didn't start out to be a rap group. It wasn't about being rappers. It was about being freedom fighters, primarily, wanting to be free, needing to be free. It wasn't need. It had to happen. Because you may look up here today and see this guy, but I come from absolute poverty. Nothing. There's a war going on against black people inside the United States, and it's not, just because the Black Lives Matter has made it, put it on the world stage, we've been at war. And I'm talking about chemical warfare, psychological warfare, from the beginning. The projects is where I got my root. You can definitely know that by the time I looked up and I was 16 and I figured out I was a slave, I was angry about it. I was like, what the hell is going on? This is by design. I'm in this position by design. So then that's the reason why I felt like we had to fight our way out. So yeah.
And I'm glad you did and still are doing it. Yeah. I forgot to say, we'll start with the Q&A, and I want to bring out Hazy and Simone on stage. Please give them a warm round of applause as well. So we'll have a conversation amongst ourselves.
Mitchell,
as well.
I really want to just interject and say I'm glad that we are bringing some balance to the stage by having this sister on the stage. I think it's very important that we have this voice, particularly on the stage.
Absolutely agree.
That brings balance to this conversation. Where's her microphone? Can I give it to her? What we need? We're going to pass it down?
Yeah.
What gonna do?
There's another,
right.
Jess? Yeah, there's one more. And yeah, we already had a conversation yesterday. Simone, Hazy wasn't there, but we'll continue where we just left off. Yesterday we talked a lot about power dynamics and the hip hop industry, and how the lack of hip hop, such as you produced with Dead Prez and still continue to produce with DJ Bonnot, who we'll hear later, is a problem in our eyes. And when we look at the industry, especially mainstream hip hop, it often lacks substance. So what we want to talk about today is how hip hop and maybe culture in an even broader way, like the work that we are doing with the Black Archives, can be used more to politicize, to educate people. So we want to continue on that note. And before I do that, you visited the Black Archives today. And today's theme is books we share that make us care. So I was wondering how we experienced that and what have been the books or people that really had an impact on you.
Well, first of all, to the organization of the Black Archives and anybody who is involved in that work, I want to commend you and give you a fantastic hand for the work that you're doing, first of all. Thank you. So I want to say that we met recently in Berlin. We met at a conference called Afrolution, and when I was introduced to the Black Archives, I kind of knew the concept, but I had no idea about what it really was. Like I know what an archive is, and I know that work and the importance of that work. But to respond to your question, to arrive here after we met in Berlin and you put some ideas out to Bonnot, my partner, my Italian comrade, who I organize with and make music with, and we solidified and manifested this thing to show up here, and then today to visit this institution. And you got to say it. I'm like, this thing is an institution. It is, it is pivotal for the conscience of the people here in Amsterdam and Holland, to have an institution of this kind in order to not only teach forward about what can be done so we don't reinvent the wheel and redo things that happen, but to remind us that these things happen, and to connect us with our elders, connect us with the root, connect us with our movement. Like I said, that in the U.S., was uprooted and beheaded. Here you have monumental work. I was able to see the archives from, the foundation of your organization, which is 100 years old now, I'm going to call them Otto and Hermie, but their last name again because I don't pronounce it well.
As well.
Yeah.
Difficult name.
Yeah, and it's not. I just got to be more familiar because I'm gonna be talking about them, like I talk about Huey P. Newton and Fred Hampton from now on. And so this education about these revolutionaries who were able to put forward a fantastic roadmap for the future that led us here today, that did fantastic work around challenging capitalism, challenging this system, being able to connect it with our indigenous roots. I mean, this is like I said, it's monumental to go forward and look at the exchange that happened and the conversations philosophically and ideologically around communism, and the work that you have done around taking spaces and liberating spaces and making these spaces important for us and for our communities and our African communities is phenomenal. The understanding from the lens of the movement, that where I understood the Black Panther Party to be one of the highest aspirations of African people that I had encountered in the world, but to see that reflection, that exact same reflection, and even the Black Panther emblem itself to show up in your history here, the organizers who had the same ideas and minds and were organizing and challenging leadership around what is the foundation of what I know to be true. The reason why I am RBG and Red, Black, and Green is because of Marcus Garvey. And to see the documents that showed Otto debating Marcus Garvey in the 20s in Jamaica was very important to me. And that's what I saw today in that archive. So, also to remind me about the ugly history of the depiction, colonial lens of African people through, that nutty, yeah, what is that thing called? I forget.
That ugly
Pete, whatever the Pete dude, but to be able to talk about it in real terms, to see it in real form, and to have something that is in living terms, the history of the education and colonial education and re-education. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for the work that you all are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, shout out to the whole team. All of them are here. Second part of the question is actually a question for all of you. Yeah? Books you share that make us care. First question that we start off with is, what have been books, authors that have made an impact on your thinking, on your life, on how you look at the world? You already mentioned a few names. Can you name maybe one or two that really had a big impact in terms of books?
Yeah. Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah.
So
And then we'll go to Simone and
okay.
Izzy. Yeah.
So you said books.
Books.
In the archive or in general?
In general.
In general. Okay. Well, like I said, Assata, written by Assata Shakur, helped me to see a lot about this journey. Her autobiography was pivotal to me. But of course, you have the pedagogy of the oppressed, Paulo Freire. You have Frantz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth, that really was, even though it was a heavy read for me at 18 years old, it had become a reference point to understanding what to do later. So I revisited the Wretched of the Earth many times. Um, you know, Seize the Time, Bobby Seale. Obviously, Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X was pivotal to me and is for many people. I think it's a great starting point. But then if you want to deal with like ideology and philosophy, philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, um, you know, um, even up to now, like I'm an avid reader, up to this minute. And, you know, you can find works that do great reference, between the world and me. Uh, and anybody who knows Ta-Nehisi Coates, gave a great reference point to what the lineage is between our community and why we are sitting, why he's writing a letter to his son in fear that the police is going to choke him out. So that's just some of them. So yeah.
Co-signing the books that you read because they're amazing. Ivan van Sertima, They Came Before Columbus, a very important book with regards to how you decolonize the history lessons that we were taught in school. Cheikh Anta Diop, of course, Senegalese author, scholar. We didn't get the chance to visit his university when we were in Dakar, I think. But he's amazing. Winnie Mandela, because you mentioned her yesterday, how many folks really love them, some Nelson Mandela. And
Winnie.
Right, Winnie. She was like a master strategist and
That's right.
the backbone of a revolution, but patriarchy erased her out of that history. So she was
right.
excellent. Nikki Giovanni,
Yes.
if you ever want to be not just a fearless poet, but a fearless writer, read Nikki Giovanni, read her essays on how she writes reviews. She is fantastic. I don't know, Ngugi wa Thiong'o from Kenya, spectacular. I'm a nerd, I can go on. This can be like the...
Yeah,
but let me give it to
battle.
Right?
I have a book battle.
It's being
Rest in
recorded.
peace, Maya Angelou.
So,
Yeah.
if you want to
Rest in
make a
peace.
list,
Yeah.
I'm not as deep as these two.
that's okay. That's okay.
What I can say is definitely the autobiography of Malcolm X. I saw the movie when I was a kid, and that had a big impact on me. Obviously, the book has more information. There's this one book. It's called The Daily Affirmations for People of Color, and it's really good because it has like passages for every day, with quotes by Bob Marley, Maya Angelou, and like a lot of different black people. That's very good. That's a very good book to have. So yeah.
And maybe in terms of musical inspiration, I think, Zwart Licht is one of the few, as far as I know, hip hop groups that just make music that touches a lot of people, but also has substance, political message. I saw the big RBG flag in the studio when you started when you were younger. So can you tell a little bit about how you guys started and what inspired you in the broader sense than just books, maybe also music?
We started, at first it was just me and Akwasi, and later we added Leeroy. We started off, the name Zwart Licht means black light. The name comes from just the negative connotation the word black has in the Dutch language. In America and in the United States, there was a civil rights movement and the pro-black movement, Black Power movement, but it wasn't really like that over here. So the word black over here, zwart, really a lot of bad words have black in front of it, like black magic, black sheep, like
Black Pete.
yeah. So we felt like we had to put the word black in a better light. So that's where the name literally comes from, black light.
Nice.
Yeah, just black positivity.
Cool. And in terms of broader influences aside of books, what has inspired you? What influenced you?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Where's the mic?
Awesome. Yeah.